Okay. Um, for the past 4 years, I will say, because Savannah's 3, should be 4 this year. Um, I have been pretty much figuring out um the most efficient way for my family and I to to live. Um, hmm, hmm. Um, it started out with me being home with a cast on my foot, my left foot, when I had a freak accident um with one of my kids, and it resulted in a double fracture of my left ankle, which kept me in the hospital for a week and required surgery. Not to mention 8 months of recovery, and also being pregnant at the same time. So, with that being said, um, my boyfriend at the time, now fiance, moved my children and I into his apartment and pretty much took care of us. And so at that time, thank God it was summer school, the second half of the year, because I did it, that accident happened Christmas Eve. So I spent my children's Christmas, New Year break in the hospital, and they stayed with their godmother. Fast forward a year, um, baby 3 is born, little Savannah is born, and I'm still home and on maternity leave. Well, just home because I never went back to work. And TV, RV, was it Big Time RV comes on, and I'm like, ooh, people live in that. I can live in that. Our family can live in that. And then it was all these different RV shows that came on, and full time RVers, and it just showed me different things. Well, sitting at home with children, I started going on YouTube and I started Googling stuff. I love Google. Just love, absolutely love Google. And just started Googling stuff, living alternatives, energy efficiencies, solar. Didn't realize how complex solar is, but solar is so complex. It's just amazing how whoever came up with solar cells and solar panels to create electricity, um, is just amazing. Um, there was a YouTube video of a bicycle that generated electricity, a day's worth of electricity, just by you riding a bike like you would with a stationary bicycle, generate electricity for a whole day if you just ride for about an hour and a half, depending on the speed. Thought that was really cool. They also have a treadmill like that. I'm just getting over a cold, everybody. Had a cold for about 2 weeks now, and is now at the end stages where I can't get rid of this phlegm because I love milk and I have all this milk in my house and I keep drinking it, and I know milk produces mucus, especially when you're sick. So excuse me for all the clearing of my throat. But anyway, um just looking at different living alternatives, and On YouTube, I started following a lot of full time RVers. First, I started typing in full timing families, full time RV families, and then we moved to Orange. We were first living in Newark, and then we moved to Orange. And about a year after we started living here, tiny houses started popping up on TV. Well, I don't really watch a lot of TV. I'm mostly on YouTube watching videos, or I'm on the cooking channel, or I'm watching how it's made. I love watching how stuff is made. Um, and so I was like, cool. I like the way that looks because at first I was looking at a class A. Then I started looking at um fifth wheel and bumper pull RVs. Mainly because I like the homely feel of it, and being that I have two girls and a boy, it allowed for my girls to get the bunk room, and my son was able to get his own little maybe loft or his own little room, and then you have the master. Um, there was one fifth wheel that I was looking at. It was at the Atlantic City RV Show Expo in February. I went to that, and they had the exact one that I was looking at. Actually, they had the Class A, which is the Georgetown 364 TS, and they had the fifth wheel that I was kind of dabbling with. Wasn't exactly sure what model, but then I saw this one model. Can't remember it right now, but I saw this one model and I was like, "Oh, that's perfect." It had 1.5 bath. It was a 3 bedroom fifth wheel with the living room, dining room, great concept. Loved it. Well, my son says, "Oh, but that little room is so small because it had the two twin beds inside, and you had like a foot and a half by 3 feet of just space for you to just walk around, turn, and put your clothes on. And the beds didn't fold up. So I was saying to him that we can pull that out, and maybe on the bottom we can build something, maybe a desk in that back wall because it was also a slide out. We can build a desk in the slide out, and then you can have your bed on top. Do a loft bed with the desk and a dresser underneath. Well, he loved that idea. It was like getting his own room with all this stuff, and I was showing him all the different options. Of course, really wasn't interested, but the fact that he was able to get his own room was really nice. Of course, my oldest daughter, who was 10, not happy. She doesn't like sharing a room with a 3-year old because she doesn't clean up. And she's always having to clean up after her sister, so she really kind of wanted her own room. But I was explaining to her that in that particular RV, they would each have their own side, and Savannah would have no choice but to clean up her own toys, or they would end up in the garbage. I'm learning how to declutter. I do not know how to throw anything away. Not that I don't know how to throw anything away. I just like to hold on to stuff because I feel that I will need it further down the line. Well, for the most part, that is true. But as the kids grow older, they have little stuff that you say, oh, they look so cute in this, and you don't want to throw it away. Well, me, mommies, that's what we do. Or it was the toy that they played with and they still play with it. It's the toy that they've had since they were born, and you don't want to throw it away when they stop playing. So, um, that's where I am now. Now I have been watching um Tiny House Nation since I saw it first come on. Well, since I first saw it. Um, and I have been watching another type of tiny house show where you're pretty much watching people do the same thing, but they're either building their own or like Joel Pearson. I love her tiny house. She hired a contractor and worked with a bunch of different design experts and advisors and team to help her design her tiny house. Um, and so I wanted a tiny house. So next thing you know, and I'm gonna walk downstairs. I know I've been talking for about 10 minutes now, but then it's gonna get dark. Then I've been watching. I've been on YouTube, and then some of the YouTube videos go to different people who are homesteading. They build a tiny house or a small house, and they're now homesteading. Let me turn on this other light too, so you can really see my face. Okay, and so I started looking up homesteading. Now I want to. My mom kind of is homesteading, not really. Okay, anyway, my mom has a garden. She has different garden spaces on her property where her and her husband live. Now I have helped my mom since she has moved there and gotten married. My kids and I go whenever we can, and we help my mom do the yard work at her house. Well, my mom and her husband. Um, Help her do the yard work in the house. The kids will rake, we will clean off the patio, we will help work in her garden, we will water it. One day she came home with like 3 bags of coffee ground that she got from the coffee shop that she goes to. And we pretty much use that to help fertilize and um fertilize the soil and to make it rich so that she can start her or end. It was pretty much, what is it, tilling the soil, and in the year for the winter time, because it was in like late October, like a week before Halloween. And so we put all those coffee grounds down with the filters, and we just let Earth do its thing. And then a week before that, she had these potato sacks. And so we dumped out the tomato bags onto a tarp, and the kids were able to see, which is so fun. I wish I had a video of it. Um, as we dump these bags, which is made out of a special material, I think it's like wool and cotton and something else. um, the kids were so excited to see all these different bugs come out of the soil as you worked it, and they love looking at the worms. And so they would pick up all the worms and the roly polies, and they would throw it into my mom's fenced in garden, which they absolutely love. And I said, well, I can do this. And so I wanted to do it here at my house. Well, I live in Orange, and right now I live in a duplex with my fiance and our 3 children. And so trying to do that here, first of all, I'm motivated to do what I would like to do. It's just that I don't know what I want to do. And so I'm kind of on this plateau where I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life. Well, I do know that I don't want to work. I don't want to work a 9 to 5 where I have to request time off and for vacation and your personal, and I have to watch how many times I call out of work sick. Um, I want to have something that I can call my own, and I want to be able to see the work come out of it. So from the time I broke my ankle to now, I have been researching um, full time RV living, tiny house living, and now homesteading. Now, there was a young lady on YouTube who lived in a tiny house. I know there are a lot of other people on YouTube who I turn my computer off. Okay. Who live in trailers, all different types of yurts and tents, who homestead. And so I saw this piece of land in Monroe, Georgia, 3 acres for $15,000. Well, as how women are, we plan for the future. And most men plan for, the next day or for the week or for the month. And that's probably as far as they're going to go. Well, I've been planning this for the rest of our lives so that we can travel the country. I have never seen anything west of the Mississippi River. And recently, a couple years ago, God rest his soul, my dear Uncle James passed, who has been my mom's support and rock for her garden. And when he passed, it felt like, okay, well, now who am I going to get my advice from? It felt like a piece of me had been taken away, which is why I'm trying to do my best to cherish every day like it's our last and really spend quality time with my children. Um, I would love to homeschool. My son has a learning deficiency where he has a hard time with comprehension and speech, which I think came from him being born with acute esophageal acid reflux that I have done my best to manage. And he has been in remission for the past, see, he'll be 13 this year. He has been in remission for the past 11 years. Because when I figured out, or when the doctors were able to figure out what was wrong with him as to why he couldn't keep food down and why certain foods made him throw up, everything he would take in, um, he learned how to talk a little later, but still a very active, normal little boy. Wants to get into everything, wants to follow behind my brother because I was still living at home with my mom and my brother. This is before she got married. And so Nathaniel learned how to talk later on, but Nathaniel knew from the time he was 13, 14 months, knew his entire alphabet. You tell him to show you the letter Z, he showed you Z. You told him A and you just bounced around to different letters, he could point everything to you. He just couldn't talk. And so I think that messed up his speech. And speech and comprehension comes hand in hand because even though I always spoke to him in English, we don't speak any other languages, and always read to him, um, he still kind of learned how to talk kind of late. Now, with that, I think that's where the reading comprehension came in, because since he was losing a lot of weight so quickly before we were able to pinpoint what was wrong with him, that kind of messed up his brain, hence the comprehension deficiency. So I would love to homeschool really him so that I can give him the extra assistance that he needs, that he cannot get from public school, that he was getting from charter school. Just why I prefer charter school over public school, depending on the public school. But my experience, charter over public. Only because the classes are a lot smaller, and the school that they were at, he was getting everything that he was supposed to get, and they were compliant with his IEP. Well, that's the only reason why I want to kind of keep him in public school or charter school, is because they also have the speech therapist there that he needs, which is what he needs. But if I homeschool, I will be able to work on that with him, like I have been doing by sitting down with him while he reads a book out loud to me, and work on his pronunciation and enunciation when he talks and he reads. That's my refrigerator making noise. And how he speaks, how he uses his words and his sentence structure and writing. Um, and so I have been teaching myself. I've been watching a couple homesteaders and homeschoolers, and I have been learning that I can pretty much do this myself. I have a high school diploma. I have some college experience at schooling, and so I figured that I can do this myself. Being that I also have a CDA, an infant and toddler, and that's the main thing that we teach our infants and toddlers is speech, and that's pretty much what Nathaniel's going to need. He's gonna really need to go back to the basics on paying attention, not going back to the basics, so that he can pay more attention to how he pronounces certain words when he reads and when he speaks. As you see, I have a small lisp, um, and so my words may come out a little differently, but I have been working on my speech so that my lisp is not so strong. I've been doing this since elementary school. I've had this lisp since elementary school. And I have also had an IEP and have been in um, special education. So, what my son is going through, I went through just on a different scale. Mine was a different learning deficiency, mainly because I had the lisp, and the lisp prevented me from really understanding what I was reading because I was not pronouncing them correctly. And so when you're having a hard time pronouncing words out, that takes away the time for you to understand what you're reading because you're too busy paying attention to what you're reading. So, with that being said, I would love to homeschool my children and start a homestead, even though my fiance does not want to. He won't have a choice. That's pretty much it. Because with the way the economy is going and the way society is going, that's pretty much where we're going to be headed, to self sufficiency. Um, I have been making our own laundry detergent for the past 4 years, on and off, only because when we first moved here to Orange, the laundry depot that we go to, they provide laundry detergent, and so I haven't had to buy laundry detergent for the past, oh, 2 years now. Excuse me, 2 years now. I have not had to buy laundry detergent, but I have been making it in small batches on the side to soak like my delicate stuff, or when Savannah has an accident, I'll soak her clothes and I'll wash them. But that being said, thanks to Big Family Homestead, I have been really um okay, it's in my hair now. I have really been researching how to get a homestead with no money, being that we live paycheck to paycheck. Now, I would love to live a more frugal lifestyle. It's going to be very hard because I don't know how to throw anything away, and I like to buy stuff. And even though I don't buy a lot for myself or for my children, um, living paycheck to paycheck, when you do buy something outside of just your expenses and what you need, it seems like you're buying a lot. Now, I get most of my clothing and my shoes from the Mall of Mom and the Mall of Grandma. The Mall of Mom is my mother's closet. Whatever she doesn't want or she can part with, I take, I wear, I use, I take care of. Same thing for Grandma's house. I go to Grandma's house. If Grandma says, "Oh, I think this will look cute on you," that's how I get my clothes and my shoes. Now, as far as my hair, I just got finished washing and conditioning my hair, and I combed it out, and I put some moisturizer in it, so that's what my hair looks like. This I haven't finished it yet, but and sorry, Shantae, love you dearly, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful beautician, um, straight nappy, great natural hair salon. I have not been going, and I have been canceling my hair appointments just because I'm trying to take that money and put it to the side for us to start a homestead. And not just homestead, but to also prep, because I feel as though homesteaders are preppers. We prep our land and we prep ourselves mentally and physically and psychologically and emotionally and the whole nine yards to prepare ourselves for if the crap was to hit the fan, the SHTF, we will be able to live off the land that we live of. So I do feel as though we are, or I will be, prepping my family for that. Now, I don't have a firearm. I don't know how to use the gun. I have seen guns. I have held guns. I have even helped clean the outside, like polish the outside of the gun. But I have never shot a gun. I do um, have some experience in archery, so I do know how to um, shoot an arrow, shoot a bow and arrow. I'm not perfect at it, but that's probably the way we're gonna go. I'm gonna go as far as protecting our land with an arrow, something that I can possibly do to make a little easier for me when it has to come down to me having to kill my chickens or my lambs, because I do plan on having chickens and